brilliant human being, followed in the last few years. Honestly, yeah, even though there may be waters distance that separate us, but honestly, some of us, our high is always back home just to see what is happening and to bring in more opportunities. So thank you, everyone. So today, I think I have just 5 minutes. I would try and see how much I can cover within the theoretical part, and also, we can look at the practical side, or maybe I would send like more of like a walkthrough that we can work with, because it's more of hands-on. As I used to say, some of these new things coming out, it's practically, hands-on. Now, we'll be looking into ontology today, and a lot is happening around the world, around AI, and I'm so sure even back home there's a lot of question. The same way people ask questions about AI, like, is this thing real? Is this thing safe? How is our data? And all sort of question. But I mean, I'm here to tell you that please, as much as we can lay our hands on some of these new, what I would call bots or new words or new technology, let's just learn it. It has come to stay. It's not going anywhere. And just like I tell people, AI will not replace human being, but those that don't know how to use AI now will be replaced, because people that knows how to use it. Example, every one of us here that knows, that understand fabric, that understand some of the new things happening around the world, you definitely be put into organization, to replace those that don't know it. So please, let's keep up that spirit. Yeah. So today we'll be looking into ontology. I remember when this came out. I don't know. I think I contacted someone. I was like, which one is ontology again? Because there's so many things just out there, but it's part of what Microsoft is pushing. So my name is Adeyinka. I work with Capgemini here in England, and I'm part of the Microsoft partner solution architect within Capgemini. Capgemini is just a consulting firm here in England, where we consult and we build various things for organization, that lives within Europe. All right, so today we'll try and see how much we can cover. We'll look into what is Fabric IQ. Can you see my slide also? And I will still send this over later, please. Let me know if you can see my slide, please. Just maybe you can do a thumbs up, thumbs up for me. That's fine. Or a clap, or you can throw a jab at me. Let me show. All right, thank you. Thank you. Everyone is throwing a jab at me. All right. Okay, so we look at what is ontology itself. We look at the building blocks, because it's quite very important for us to understand it. What makes ontology? Why is it different? Why is it even coming now? What's the difference between ontology and even our model, our data model, or people that do SQL? What is making it so quite really, really important? And likewise, we're going to look into from semantic model to ontology, or maybe you just want to build your ontology on a different model. And I'm so sure some of us, all of us are, brilliant mind over here. You will have, heard about semantic model, lake house, fabric, all these new things happening. So I won't disturb myself. If anyone have not heard about that, just grab Francis, grab, Sonny, my boss, and co, and let them sit them down. Don't worry. Just tell them that I send them to you. They will, they will surely, show you the way. All right. So Microsoft IQ. So Microsoft is building what is called an IQ as a general pattern across the whole product line. When I mean product line, I mean not just fabric, the whole product line, because everyone is running this race. Google, Amazon, Microsoft, IBM. Everybody is like, we need to position ourselves to use this AI. So everybody is bringing in a different word, IQ. Some will call it QI. Some will call it AQ. It's all rounding. It's all around artificial intelligence. So the idea is that An AI agent is not only good as the concepts you ground it in. Now, different products becomes that particular concept, and that is what the Fabric AI is coming to do. So within the Fabric AI, we have what's called the Work IQ. And I tell people in a very simple way, the Work IQ grants, it's more of what I call your agent in your work. So your email, your calendar, your Teams, the one we're using right now, or your messages, that is just your Work IQ. Work IQ in the sense that it helps you to do quite a lot of things. It's more of like your agent that you use within your work. Your Foundry IQ, and I'm sure some of us have heard about that also, it's more of your documents and policies. So you want to do right over your knowledge base, or you want to understand some of the policies, documentation. Your Foundry really is quite very good. And now the Fabric IQ, which is the main one, tends to look into your business structure data, your actual entities, and the numbers sitting within your Fabric tenants. And that is what it does. So all this combination becomes the Microsoft IQ. It's more of like what I call a unified platform that allows you to use either your Work IQ, the tools we're using right now, Teams, email, calendar, or we want to do governance. So somebody's asking like, I need documentation, I need policies. Let them know that, oh yeah, the Foundry IQ is such a platform that can sit on that. And then the Fabric IQ itself, it's looking into your numbers, identity. Now, there's another one that I didn't put here. It's called the Web IQ. The Web IQ just sits basically on what I call the open internet or via your blend, but we don't need that. So Fabric IQ isn't a new product you're going to install. No, you're not installing it. It's what I would call a workload inside the Fabric itself. The same way your data factory or your real intelligence workload, it's the same way. So its job specifically is that it takes what's inside your one lake. I believe everybody knows one lake. Yeah, I believe so. So it takes what's inside your one lake and it makes it legibly as business concept, not raw.
Hey, Carol, sir. Fine, sir.
Wow. Okay.
Same to you, sir.
Is it
Yes,
me?
sir.
Just to be sure that I can speak Yoruba also. Yeah. So it basically takes your one lake, go to your one lake, search, but brings it out in a legible business concept, not the raw schema. So when we're talking about this, let them know that.
Sorry, Adeyinka, I think you just got yourself muted or something. You are muted. I don't think, yeah, you are muted.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry. When did you lost me anyway? Let me repeat myself.
Not so long, maybe 30 seconds ago.
Oh, 30 seconds ago. So I was saying that your Fabric IQ, what it does is that it goes into your lakehouse and make it legibly as business concept, not the raw schema. So that is one of the major advantage of your Fabric IQ. It's not giving you that raw schema, but it's letting you know what is within. Am I muted again?
We can hear you.
Okay, all right. What is within your business concept? All right. So because I want to rush some of these things so that I can show us actually what that interface looks like. Now, I love this page because I don't tell people that within the IQ, there's quite a lot of things that is happening. We have our semantic model.
Sorry, Adeyinka, can you please go on slideshow so that people can see better?
Okay. Yeah. Is it okay like this?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Just let me know. All right. So I love this part because it tends to show you what is actually happening within the Fabric space or within the Fabric environment itself. And you could say your IQ consists of all these building blocks that I'm just showing us right now from your semantic model. And I believe we all understand what semantic model is all about. To your ontology, which we're going to deal with today in a much precise way. Your semantic layer model, just for us to understand, is basically your stack diagram that gives you your measure stacks. You know what we do within the Power BI of today, what you build as of today. In the olden days or in the olden years, it is called the data model, but now it's called semantic model, for some reason. Now, your ontology has three major layers we're going to look at today: the entity, the relationship, rules, and action. What's we're going to deal with today. So those two is quite very, very important. But we see the other four: the digital twin builders, the graphs, the data agent. And I'll quickly explain that. So the digital twin builder, what that does is that it's more specialized siblings of ontology. And what it does is that it aims at your physical or operational system. So let me give us a very, very good example. So let's think about an hospital floor or a factory line or a fleet of vehicles, as a concept. I'm trying to bring it down. Your department, your room, your patients, everything is wired, to read together. And that is what your twin builder does. It's more looking into your operational system so that it can give you much meaningful definition. Your graph, it's what I call, this is more like the engine, not a separate modeling surface. So when we talk about your graphs, just like the normal graphs we do in any platform, it tends to do joining. So graphs transverse instead of your SQL journey, it shows you in a much easier way what table is joining to another table in a graphic way. And this is what the graph does. So ontology and the digital twin builder are two different ways to define your graph. So they're all similar, and I will try and show us, your ontology and your digital twin, they show us how the graph works. And I'll show you that today. Your data agents, and I'm so sure we've heard about data agents quite very much well. What this does is that it reads, it answers the questions that you probably ask, your natural English questions. How many shipments have we made in the last 2 weeks? You throw it to your agent, it replies you back. And that is what your data agent is. I'm rushing so that we can just take time to read this by ourselves. While the operational agents, just like the word means operational agent, these are what I would call the rights, or what, it triggers a governing action, to guide what your agent is doing. So the agents go into your data, you ask a question, it answered you, but the operational data, what it does is that it governs that action just to make sure that everything works quite very well. So all this is making up the Microsoft IQ. And I want us to know that everything sits upon our one lake. So the old definition or the old understanding of this whole thing starts from one lake. So if you don't even have understanding of what one lake is, please, as much as possible, let's grab that, because that is the foundation. And just like the name, one lake, it sits, everything sits inside it. You could say your co-pilot is there, which allows you to do your normal charts. Your governance is there, that governs everything that is happening within the Fabric IQ. But it's quite very important we understand this. All right, so we have 3 layers of Fabric IQ, which is quite very important. Layer 1, which is a one lake, don't forget, I mentioned about that. This is your lake house, or what I would call your warehouse that stores your physical data, and nothing's new, nothing new is happening here. It's just stores your data, your lake house, your warehouse. Now, your layer 2 is your semantic model, which is quite very important. Just like we build Power BI semantics model that we know, and then we publish, we do the measures, we do the DAX, we do all our hierarchy. This layer already exists also within the Fabric IQ. So it sits upon it from the one lake to your semantic model, and within your semantic model, now you have your ontology. And your ontology, what it does is that it gives meaning to that data that has been stored. It doesn't store data itself. Know that ontology doesn't store data itself. It stores the meaning, definitions, relationship, rules, permission. It brings all this into life, into a meaningful thing. So standing on its own, one day keeps your data. Semantic model helps you to do all your relationship, your measures, your DAX, but your ontology, what it does is that it gives meaning, to your data itself. You define a lot of things for you, all your rules, and that is what makes it quite great. So if anybody asks you, what is even this ontology? You should be able to explain this to them in a very simple way. It has 3 layers. One layer is semantic model and ontology. And likewise, you can even bring in your data, into your lakehouse and build your ontology. And we'll look at that today. Okay. Now, this is quite very important because we've been talking about ontology. So, what is ontology itself? And I will just, the same way it is. It is just a shared, machine understandable vocabulary of your business entity, your properties, and how they connect. So, what it does is that it gives you meaning. It gives you meaning into what your data is storing. So, it looks into your entity data. I believe we know what entity data type is. These are logical data, not the physical data. So, example, customer as an entity type might actually be a source from 3 different tables. I'm just giving an example. Ontology doesn't care about that. What it cares about that is it gives you what is the definition of this particular logic. What is it actually doing? And that is what it does. It goes into your entity to understand your meaning, to see your definition and how it's being used across your data itself. Now, also, the ontology, what it does is that it looks into your properties. Now, property can be split into what I call a static property and your real-time property. Your static property binds you to the lakehouse. Sorry, I may be a bit advanced. I believe some of us will understand lakehouse, warehouse, static, data type, all these things I'm talking about. And your real-time binds you to your event house. The event house is what is called a KQL database that allows you to do streaming. So we want to understand temperature. We want to understand the GPS coordination. We use what is called the event house. But your static property, what it does is that it takes into consideration your data, itself within your lake house and look into what is changing, all the facts table that is changing. So it looks also into your property data. It's trying to define it across your business. It's trying to understand what is happening. And the last one is the relationship, which I would say it's more of showing you how each of these tables connects to each other. So you have table A, table B, table C, table D. How are they interacting together to form that business definition? So your ontology, in a very simple way, if anyone asks you and wakes up tomorrow and say, what is ontology? What it does is that it defines your business logic, making it much easier for anyone to understand. Looks into your entity, looks into your property, and gives it more meaning. And that is what it does. On its own, it doesn't store data, remember that, but it gives meaning into what you're doing. And I'll send this over to us as much as possible. I've talked about this, the building block entity. I'll give an example what it captures. It captures, your business nows, things like customer shipment, assets, and why is it needed? Because it's reusable. It looks into your property, it looks into your relationship, it defines your rules and every action that is within your data. You see, all these 5 things is what makes ontology. So it's more of saying that the business are tired of all these big grammars that we're speaking. They want to understand the data itself. Let's introduce ontology to them, and then it will make much meaning. All right. Now, why ontology reduce AI, hallucination? I believe you know that AI do hallucinate. How many of us have experienced that? Where you ask, Claude, ChatGPT some question, and they just they jump, So it's because they don't understand what is happening. So they hallucinate. Their body is always shaking, especially Claude is always like, yes. But you need to calm Claude down or your AI and say, listen, don't hallucinate for me. But the only way is by building your ontology, your rules, because they don't understand. They don't understand. So LMS without ontology, answering your question would probably go out of hand. But by the time you're able to define your business vocabulary, example, you let them know that sales is this. You let them know that product is this. Hospital data is this. They'll be able to have that one single sort of knowledge, one single sort of truth, and then that will help them to build. And that's why I tell people that even when you use AI or all this Claude, how do you write your prompts? Probably you've connected it to your database, using some other means. Have you defined it very well? If you've not defined it very well, AI will keep hallucinating around your data. It's just trying to guess. Once you define it and you cage it quite very well, what it does is that it looks for the definition that human beings already validate. We validated it that sales is this, is different from gross sales, or is different from net sales. So that by the time you are asking question, Claude is not jumping up and down. You've defined what sales is, net sales, gross sales, profit sale, and is able to answer your question quite very well in a much simpler way. So it reduces AI hallucination a lot. There's a project we just completed here with the government, and within their data, they have so many names, and we're able to break it down using, ontology. Now, people do ask question, ontology and semantic model. Is there difference? Just to be sure that's what is happening. Don't forget that your semantic model that we are all used to is for analytics, your DAX, your measures, your hierarchy, your dimensions. You're doing reporting, you're doing relationship. Your ontology is looking into your vocabulary, is defining your entities, your rules, it's understanding why do you have this data here, which data is connected to this data. So it's quite very important for us to understand that. And the cleanest way to hold this distinction, within a semantic model is, if you ask a semantic model, how do I calculate something? You're saying, give me a measure, give me a DAX expression. An ontology answer is, what is something and how does it relate to another thing? You can see that's the two way they are thinking. Your semantic model is saying, how do I calculate something? Your measures, your DAX. But in ontology's mind, it's saying, what is that thing and how do they relate to other things? So it's trying to define it and break it down, in a much, much simpler way. They are not rivals, they are not, but, with ontology, it defines the vocabulary. With semantic model, they look more into your model as the source. And we can read much about this. I want to see how much I can cover, and then I'll quickly show us a few interfaces. From semantic model to ontology, I've explained this. If you have built your semantic model, you can set up your ontology upon it. It's more of like a building parts, and then you create a relationship. Before, we are all used to this part. We stopped here, but now we have all these, and this is what business needs. Don't forget, business is not, they don't care about what we do or how we're doing it, but they want to understand. Yeah, thank you. My time is running. All right, and then let me see, and then the last part, so I can show us a few things maybe practical. The last part is the governance, which is quite very important. As much as whatever we're doing within AI space, within IQ space, never forget that your governance is much important. Who uses what? How is being used? When is being used? Is there any row level security set upon it? All these dimensions sit within the Fabric IQ also, and this helps us at the long run not to probably damage whatever data we have within our lake house. So it's very important. As much as we push some of all this new technology out, let us all also let people know that Fabric is important. I mean, sorry, governance is important, and we need to do it in the right way. All right. So that's the end of the theoretical part. I want to show us, and I'll quickly take one or two questions before I come over to the practical part. Let me see if I can show one or two things. Can you still see my screen? Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen, please? All right, thank you. All right, so I mean, I've created this, but because of time, but I will show us how we can actually create this particular ontology, the ones you're actually seeing on my screen at the moment. But before that, one of the first important things you need to know is that Microsoft is not giving freebies. All these things are quite expensive, and within the administrative arm of your tenants, you must have been able to set what is called your ontology. Within, you must have enabled it, and because it's quite expensive, you could say you must have enabled it maybe across the organization, or maybe you'll have probably enabled it across specific group. Now, this admin portal I'm showing you is specific to various organizations. You may not have access to it. This is just my own what I call lab training. What we use for lab training. So, but it's quite very important. This has been created. And not just that. You could see things like use create Fabric item. If all this is not done, unfortunately, you won't be able to create your ontology within your environment. So that is the first important thing that you need to know on how to create, how to use and enable your ontology item, but not just that, on how to use your graph. Remember, I mentioned graph. If I type graph right now, it's the same way it's going to show you, do you want to enable your graph, which is user can create graph just to show how these two things link. So that is that. Now, let me show us some of the things we can just learn. I mean, I was able to just create this early this morning just to show us how ontology looks and what it's actually doing. But before that, I believe we understand what workspace is. Workspace is where you create an environment where you store your data where you want to work. You can always create a new workspace. And I have some workspace that I've created, or you can use some example workspace that you've had in the past. Over here, if I probably come into the one I've done, all I need to do is to create new item, and then you select your most used item, the recent one, or maybe if you can't find it, all you need to do is just type. If you're typing, it's going to bring out that particular, you could see, and immediately you do that. But the first thing you need to do when you want to create your ontology is to create a workspace. Create a workspace, just like I mentioned. Name that workspace, whatever thing you need to name it. So I've created a workspace already. I can come in here, and then my workspace is called Material Architecture. It's one of the training I've just done. And then create your layout. Don't forget that we mentioned that everything sits within your one lake. You need to create that. It's quite very important. Immediately you create your lake house, you push your data into your lake house. And I will show us our lake house, which is this. I've just created that. You could see I pushed in few data. I have this data called the hospital data. I pushed in the department, the hospital, the patients, the room, and the vital equipment. All this sits within your lake house. Don't forget, your lake house just stores your data. It's not doing anything majorly. It's just bringing in your data and then it's keeping it for you. And then from there, we push it into tables. When you bring in your data, it comes within your file. You need to set it within your schema so that you can always actually use, what I call your SQL analytic point, or maybe you want to run some query. And immediately, once you've done that, the next thing you need to do also is to create your event house. If your data has things that you need to stream, the same way I created the lake house, all you need to do, if you come in over here, a new item, and then you could see event house. I've created one and I will show you. The beauty of Fabric is, each one of all these things, you can actually see it. You can see what you've done. Remember, your event house is your KQ health database. So if I probably click on this, it's going to show us that interface. Yeah, this is how the events, house looks like. It shows you your database, it shows you your system overview, everything that you're actually doing. Because I've done some of all these things, so it's showing me. It gives you like an understanding of what is happening within the data that you probably click on the database. Yeah, I've done some things, and that is why it's showing, because 17 hours ago, it's showing me this. You can do all your monitoring, and also you can look at the system overview. All this helps you as a data architect, or as you build within your career. That you understand what you're doing. When do you have a spike, or when do you have a low moment? So you create your event house. Don't forget, if you have item you need to stream, because it's going to help your ontology later. And the last part is you create your ontology. So don't forget, from your workspace to creating your lake house. You have to create a lake house. It's very important. In your lake house, if you have an item you need to stream, create your event house. But if you don't have, then you create your ontology. The same way, if I come over here back, you click on new item, your ontology seat, you could see. Now, ontology is still in a preview state, except if that has changed. Maybe I will have chances. They are my girls, So it sits in here, you can just click on it and then you name it. But over here, you could see, and that is why I said Fabric is very sweet. Everything you're doing, you can see it from your semantic model to your lake house, to your events or graph, to your ontology, even to the SQL you're running. You're seeing everything. And this is what they call everything sits within one experience. You're having everything within one experience. So if I click on the ontology, and this is how your ontology looks like. Don't forget, it's trying to define what you have. It doesn't store data itself, but it's trying to look into your property. So property like hospital, how do I know? If I click on this, it's trying to understand what property holds within that hospital. I could say city, hospital ID, hospital name, state. Beautiful. But how do they connect with other data? Remember, it's trying to build you definitions. So that by the time I move this into data agent, it's very easy for AI to understand that this is the connection. It's not going to go all around and just be sending you wrong information. So you could see my hospital. I'm saying that hospital must always contain. You can always change this. It doesn't mean, I just contain. You can say hospital must always have. Hospital must always, just use the word that you feel is quite, that you can actually use. It contains a department. If I click on maybe department, I'm saying that within the department, there should be a room. So that means a room must have a department, and the department is contained within an hospital. You can see how we're doing the relationship. If I probably click a room, let me increase this. I'm saying that within my room, there should be vital sign equipment. There should be vital sign equipment within the room. And not just that, it should be assigned, a room should be assigned to a patient. And I'm too sure some of you that probably does SQL very well, even Python, you will know that it's still the same thing. The knowledge is like this word, they're changing the word from one to another. This is more of a modeling. You are just trying to model a data to see how they interact with each other. Or the room has departments. And if you click on patient also, I'm saying a patient, should have a vital equipment that is monitoring, its vitals and is clipped within the room. So you could see that all we've been doing is ontology is trying to define all this for us in a very simple way so that we can get to understand what is happening. If I view the entity type and I come to overview, it's finally going to show me what has happened maybe in the last few hours. You'll be able to see admission rates, dates. Now, you can see that it's giving you some vital reports, which is much easy, much accurate, because we've been able to link each of all these data together, showing me first name, date of birth, and this is what ontology does. Of course, there's a bit more to this. I didn't talk much about the graph, but hopefully when I send the manual, we'll be able to read much about the graph. So this is the whole story about ontology, but a takeaway for every one of us is that please don't forget that what it does is it defines your business logic. It doesn't store data itself. It goes into your data, understand your data, create the relationship for you, create the definition, and show relationship. How do they interact? As I've said, a department must have a room. A patient must be assigned to a room. A vital equipment must be assigned to a patient. So by the time you ask Claude, how many patients have a particular vital, you understand it's not going everywhere. It's not, it's not just throwing you wrong answer. And your graphs will show you relationship. Unfortunately, as I have one more minute to go, if I show you graph in here, what your graph does is it shows you how all these, relate. And I will send us like a guide in which we can all do the same thing I've just done. And in fact, I know what to do. I will send it out, and maybe the first person to respond back will probably have a gift. I don't know the gift right now, but I will ask Francis. Maybe a gift of who wants to write the DP600. I'm not sure, but I will think about that. So that is what the graph does. You can see by the time I start to link this, I can easily link it also. I'm saying that yes, an hospital must have, a vital equipment, and then you can set up all your definitions. All right, let me stop there. I want to take some questions. Sorry, I know it's a rush one, but let me have our questions so that I can take one or two questions as we progress. Question, and I will send the slide, and likewise I have these documents I will send to Francis so that he can share with us, and then we can all I think and we can all please. It's the same thing. I want us to just create this in our own free time and then you understand it honestly. And if anybody asks you why ontology, why is it different from semantic model, why is it different from things, you'll be able to answer. All right, let me stop talking because I want to have some question. Oh, looks like it's all clear. Can you hear me? Question. I can see one of my very good partner and my Oga, Okay, I'm hailing you from here. All right, question. No question? Is it that it's not clear, or we understand this already? Let me get to know. Can you hear me, please? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah, all right. Any question before I hand it over back to how many of us have done DP600? Let me know, or maybe planning to do it. Anyone? No from your side yet. I've done. Oh, okay. I wanted to give out like a gift because I will send out this material, and then once anyone have done it, I will review it, and then maybe we can sponsor the person for his DP600. Francis, you've done all the exam, please. It's not you. We are learning from you. And okay, please don't mention your name also. And Qatar is on it, please. Those they are not in our category. We should be taking from them, you know. All right, Francis, let me hand over to you. Thank you so much, everyone. Please, as I've said, some of all these things, the world needs it. Honestly, I do talk to OK very well, and I do show him how much they need fabric engineers here. I wish, honestly, I can just grab everyone and then looking for fabric engineer every day because the system, everybody's confused. The same way they're confused back home, they're confused here too. Like, is this thing real? Everybody's careful. So those that knows it right now, they're just, let me use the word, they're catching up, because you are the one they will call, you implement it, and then we're good to go. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Francis, let me hand over to you. Thank you for joining. Once again, thank you for inviting